I think already we've heard a few words from Skip about David, and so I feel my job is a little bit easier. You can all tell that Skip likes David, and I do too. David Adjaye is today recognized as a leading architect of his generation. He was born in Tanzania to Ghanaian parents, but raised in the UK. And I'm lucky to have known David since the 1990s and feel fortunate to have had the opportunity not only to collaborate with him, but to witness his incredible and well-deserved success. David has had an ongoing relationship with the Graduate School of Design, with the university, as we have heard, where he has explored his ideas in teaching, research, exhibitions, and more recently, of course, the work that he's been doing for the Hutchins Center that we heard about, which is scheduled to open later this year. We're also exceptionally lucky to have David as a faculty member here, where he's the John C. Portman Design Critic in Architecture. The mixture of heritage and circumstance has given David a strong affinity with Africa. In some ways, I feel that he possesses an African soul. It's in his psyche, and at the same time, his temperament, for those of you who know him, is very British. Yet, despite this cosmopolitan and by now increasingly global practice and life of living in many cities, for me, David also remains a Londoner at heart. With all the diversity of ideas, geographies, and influences that come with that affiliation. He's interested in art, music, science, and has collaborated with a number of artists, including Olafur Eliasson and Chris O'Feely, the late Alexander McQueen, the fashion designer, the photographer Jürgen Teller, and the actor Ian McGregor. One of the key distinguishing features of David's work involves the use of color. And early on, especially in some of his residential projects, the use of the color black. Those of you who are familiar with architecture know of the long and sustained tradition of whiteness within the field. This was an important part of the traditions of the Bauhaus and modernism and its ensuing associations with hygiene and purity. In projects such as the Dirty House, David Adjaye explores the other, perhaps the complementary side of this tendency towards white buildings. He has produced wonderful buildings that provide unexpected containers, vessels of intimacy and desire for their users. Using color in a different way to create a palette of multiple effects, his buildings for the Skolkovo Business School, just located outside of Moscow, juxtaposes a series of buildings, structural bars, with impressionistic surfaces arranged on top of the main circular building. Other projects include the Whitechapel Idea Store, the Bernie Grant Center for the Performing Arts, the Museum of Contemporary Art in Denver, a series of housing projects, public libraries, and of course, the much coveted Smithsonian National Museum of African American History and Culture, currently under construction on the National Mall in Washington, D.C. David, and this is maybe something a little bit unusual for architects, is an extraordinary articulate voice for architecture and design. And in recognition of all his incredible work, was awarded the Order of the British Empire, OBE, in 2007. A vital component of David's work has been his research on African cities, which is also part of a larger interest on civic life. He's currently collaborating with another exemplary artistic mind, the Nigerian-American curator Okwe Enwezor on plans for the 56th Venice Art Biennale, which will open during the summer of 2015. David and Okwe will soon also be taking a group of GSD students to Africa to continue their research and investigation, and of course, we're all looking forward to seeing the outcome. I'm really grateful to the Hutchins Center for recognizing David's extraordinary achievements and contribution. Please welcome David Adjaye.
His buildings are alive with light and sound, color and depth. In every timber and every window pane, we see intellect and craft. The W.E.B. Du Bois Medal recognizes David Adjaye for the expansiveness of his work and the glory of his vision.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I'm incredibly humbled by this, this award, but I want to say that I'm tirelessly humbled by my privilege of being part of the forces that shape our built environment. The built environment for me is such an important force in the world that shapes our psyche, and I feel honored and privileged to be part of shaping that for the future generations. I'm humbled by the group that I'm called to be part of today. So I thank you very much, and I'm emotionally overwhelmed by this award, and I thank you.